Welcome to the Selling Show, where we unpack, repack, and break down exactly how CEOs, founders, and senior executives sell their ideas, point of view, and personal brand to the people who matter most. This is your host, David Newman, and you are in the right place if you want to build market eminence, amplify your influence, and attract high-value prospects, investors, partners, talent, and media opportunities with less chasing and more confidence. Let's go. Imagine if you had money advice from one of the richest people in the world, Bill Gates. Wouldn't that be amazing? It sure would, but I have something even better for you. I have money advice from my good friend, Bill Gates, the referral coach and the author of the amazing new book called The Hidden Heist. Welcome back to the show, Bill.
Yeah, I missed it by one letter and a couple of bucks. But what I like to say is Bill Gates may have a lot of money. I help people make more money in the spirit of service to others in a lot of different ways, which we'll get into. So thank you.
I like that a lot. So for the few people on the planet who do not know who you are,
oh, please.
Could you give us just a very quick sketch of your professional journey that brought you to the work that you're doing today? And then we'll jump into all things Hidden Heist.
Oh, have mercy. How far you want to go back? Because I've been around a while. I guess we could probably start after graduate school when I became a drummer in a rock and roll band, toured the country.
Totally.
That was pretty cool. Didn't want to make my living playing night. It wasn't like big concert venues. Okay. This was like nightclubs and stuff around the country. And I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. So fast forward a little bit, I started getting into the book publishing business and I started publishing books and did that. I had two publishing companies, which I sold. Now, when people say they sold their business, immediately dollar signs are rolling in your eye. All right, so I sold one business for a pretty penny, and I sold another one to get out of a bad partnership and let him absorb the debt. And then after that, someone said, you should be a professional speaker. You'd be really good. And I go, okay, what's that? I didn't know much about the world of consulting or speaking or coaching or any of that, but I figured it out, and that's kind of where I met you in that world. And so for the last 30 odd years, I've been helping small business owners, professionals. I do a lot of work with financial advisors, not exclusively, helping them acquire more clients. So it's client acquisition is kind of my mastery. Referrals, talking about your value in a more compelling way, finding the right target market, all of those things that I know you talk about as well. So that's what I've been doing for the last 30 plus years. And that's where I am today.
And you are also known, of course, as the referral coach, the original referral coach, the man, the myth, the legend that makes referrals accessible to everyone.
One of my clients says, Bill Gates makes asking for referrals as natural as breathing. And I go, wow, that's pretty good. But I decided if I said that would just be hype, marketing hype. But now, so I quote him. Michael Schmidt says, but I got to tell you a quick story. I was out on a boat this past weekend, and it turns out I didn't know the owner of the boat. I knew someone else through my wife, and so we're out on this boat. Turns out this guy runs a financial services firm, and he says, "Wait a second, you're that Bill Gates?" He goes, I got started in the business learning your stuff. I go, yeah, I'm that old. And so, I've been known as the referral coach, and particularly in financial services for 30 years, and I've written a bunch of books on it and yada, yada, who cares? But anyway, some people do know me.
I think our listeners might care because those previous books are pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
Well, thank you for that.
So you have taken a completely new direction with this book. I believe there's 7 books total, right? In your Bill Gates catalog.
This is my 8. This is
number
book.
8. This is number 8.
Yep.
And it's a complete departure. This sort of parable-based, story-based book. I'm curious, what made you choose that direction?
The only before I answer the question, complete departure, 90% departure. The only reason I say this is because for 30 plus years, I've been helping all these financial advisors bring in billions of dollars. I've been in the world of money and financial planning and financial education and broken money stories and all the things we're going to talk about. And so it's an extension of, if you will. It was born from all of that, and really came from the mission. My mission these days, and my belief is that everyone deserves to make educated financial decisions that are in their best interest. And yes. The problem is people have broken money stories. Their thinking, their beliefs, their assumptions, their emotions around money. Everybody's got it. Everybody's got, pardon my French, crap around it. I've met multi-millionaires who have stuff around money, fear and shame, any rung of the ladder of wealth. It's there. And so I wanted to educate folks around their beliefs, mistaken beliefs, all that. I wanted to give some basic education around finances. It's not really a finance book, although one person called it Netflix thriller meets the only financial book, planning book you'll ever need. But we'll go light on the planning book. But I know that stories, teach. Look at the Bible, stories. Look at some of Lencioni's books, and Who Moved My Cheese, and the 1 Minute Manager, and The Alchemist, and the Go Giver series with Bob Burg, and all of that. I mean, so stories teach, and I wanted to do that, and I thought it would be fun and interesting. Now, I'm the straightforward guy. I'm the here's the story, here's the what I want to teach, here are the beliefs, so I needed a co-author. And so I found this gentleman through a referral, naturally, Jeff C. West, who is a writer, a parable writer. He's written several other parable books. And he's the guy who took my vision for the book and then brought the story to life with the characters. And there's a lot of interesting characters in the book and twists and turns in the book that I never could have created. But then the straightforward guy in me says, well, this story is great and hopefully they're going to learn the lessons, but let's just make sure they learn the lessons. So I have 3 appendices that then come with the straightforward teachings again. So it's kind of a combo, really.
Yes.
And getting a lot of great feedback. People seem to be loving it, and they're buying it for their kids, their adult children. My personal trainer said, I need 2 for my children, because they're not listening to me. Maybe they'll listen to you.
Absolutely. Well, and I love the format. And just to be clear, obviously, money issues, money stories, financial missteps, that's not the new part. I was simply saying that I think this is your first book that's in parable format.
Clearly a departure from Mr. Straightforward nonfiction.
Right.
And actually a little piece of that I'm actually very excited about is the audiobook version of this. Because my last 2 books, Radical Relevance, The Language of Referrals, I read those. You probably read your books. Straightforward. Okay. People like to hear the author's voice. Cool. But for this, we got characters. We got about 9 or 10 characters. And I wanted these guys and gals to come to life. And so we hired a Random House, Simon Schuster novel audio guy to read the book and bring it to life. And it's just amazing what this guy, John McClain, has done. And so I'm actually excited about people listening to the book more so than my last books because it's just me. But this one, some of the people are saying, when's the movie going to come out? I go, well, it's a little too short for a movie, but we do have a video trailer that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Well, and this is clearly someone has some writing chops, some screenwriting chops, because talk about cut to the chase. The opening line of the book is everybody hit the floor, and we are taken right into the middle of this bank robbery by a bunch of amateur yahoos, and we're not going to spoil the fun here, but in the first page you'll see that they're amateur yahoos, and I'm curious what in the forward of the book says as much. I don't think we've ever had, nor will we ever have, a parable set in the middle of a bank robbery. What was that metaphor all about for you and Jeff?
Yeah, it's either going to be the stupidest idea I've ever had, or a stroke of brilliance that comes once in a lifetime. Time will tell. So most parable books, The Go Giver, The Alchemist, The Greatest Salesman in the World, The Who Moved My Cheese, The Latte Factor, They're nice books. They're kind of light. They're uplifting, which is good. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's a little tension. You need a tension for a good story. So usually it's a character has a challenge. They meet a guide. The guide helps them, grow, and that's kind of the essence of a parable book. But I wanted this to have I wanted to have a better story. I wanted to have a really good story. Most parable books, you know what's coming. You can see what's coming. It's okay. We still read it and we still get the lessons, but I wanted some more tension. Now, so there is tension, like you say, the opening book, everybody face down on the floor, and chuck the shotgun, because the shotgun.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything about the shotgun, but anyway, but there's a lot of comic relief. The main character, some of the book is narrated through the main character, and he could tell pretty quickly that they were not skilled bank robbers. They thought we're going to come in and grab the money and run. But what happens is they get stuck. And so a SWAT shows up and they're negotiating with SWAT. And in the midst of all of that, the rest of the folks, the quote unquote hostages, are gathered in the vault. One of the main characters, a financial advisor, and they start talking about money and, why are they robbing the bank? And money's a zero-sum game, and money's a scarce resource, and rich people are evil and poor people are lazy, and all the various things that people carry around with them around money come through the characters. And I want to make an important point that every character in the book is based on a real person. And I've done over 100 money interviews, and I've learned these things. The main character is based on a real person. And we actually interviewed a hostage negotiator. So a lot of the stuff that goes on in the negotiation, we learned from a true life hostage negotiator. And if you buy the book, The Hidden Heist, you get access to the vault where you can listen to that interview. We interviewed 2 bank robbery victims, and we have the videos. And one of them said that the robber put a gun to her head and said, if you don't give me the money right now, I'm pulling the trigger. Right? He was a little more graphic than that. But so it's all based on real stuff.
Yeah.
But told in a story. It's engaging. It's got a twist at the end nobody sees coming. And people walk away with a different perspective around money, which we can talk about a little bit. And if you want to change, if you want to bring more money into your life, if you want to change anything in your life, the first thing is with awareness, right? And so the book is a lot about awareness and belief, so that we put ourselves in a position to see new opportunities.
Hold on. This one is so good, even I'm taking notes. Listen, are you a CEO, founder, or corporate executive ready to fix your market obscurity problem and gain the market eminence you and your company deserve? Cool. Book your private Market Eminence Roadmap call with me, and let's see what might be possible for you. The link is simple. doitmarketing.com/call. See you over there. Now, I gotta get back to taking more notes. The subtitle of the book, Bill, talks about all the different ways that we rob ourselves of financial security and true wealth. What are some of those ways?
Yeah, so the hidden heist are those limiting beliefs, mistaken assumptions, unhelpful emotions that rob us of our future self, and one could say even our more immediate self. One of them is that people believe that money is a scarce resource and a zero-sum game, meaning if I have it, you don't. If you have it, I don't. And this is a hard concept for a lot of people to get, but money is not a scarce resource. Money flows. Now, it may feel scarce in your pocket, in your bank account. I get that. That's real, and you got to deal with it. And once you realize that money actually does flow through society, through the whole world, we have a global economy now, that you just have to put yourself in the middle of that flow. Now, one of the ways to do that, one of the ways that I've done that, one of the ways that you have done that, and some of our listeners have done that, is one of the ways to make money is to help other people make money.
Yeah.
And that's one of the ways you get into the flow, as long as you believe in your value. And see, that's another mistaken thing that people carry around. They have imposter syndrome. They don't feel they can charge enough, yada, yada, yada. So this stuff around money, infuses all parts of our life. I'll give you another one. One of the guys I interviewed, his name is Michael. He grew up in a family where his father had disdain for people with a lot of money. And so he grew up with that disdain. And you can't become what you detest. You can't become what you resent.
Yeah.
Right? The cognitive dissonance kicks in. And once he became aware of that and realized that this was his money story and he was believing it. And by the way, David, we can't believe everything we believe. That's a mistake. Yeah. And once he realized that he was believing this story and that it wasn't serving him, he was able to move through that and actually has done quite well financially. So what I love, one of the things that my co-author Jeff C. West taught me, and then one of the characters brings it out in the book. They're talking about rich people. Money will change you to the negative, and rich people are greedy and dishonest. And so this is now one of my mantras in life is like, some are, most aren't. And I've met a lot of very wealthy, very giving, they understand the principle that money follows value, and that's the only way they're going to make it if they produce real value. They're philanthropic, they contribute a lot. So yeah, are some rich people guilty, cheats, grifter? Yeah, some are, most aren't. So then you have to realize that there's some truth to some of these stereotypes that where we judge other people. There's a little seed of truth there. That's why the stereotype exists. But some are, most aren't. Right?
Yeah.
So those are a couple of the things. I'll give you another one that actually is a little contrarian, especially if you listen to Dave Ramsey. Debt, bad. Debt is bad.
Yeah.
Well, the way a lot of people get in debt, yes, is very bad. And it's a problem for folks with student loans, for folks with credit card debt, because they don't budget and they get caught up in other mistaken beliefs, and then they don't pay attention to their money. There's a lot of money denial out there. People don't look at bank statements. They put bills in the corner and they avoid them. There's a lot of denial out there. In fact, here's the way, I'll get back to the debt thing in a minute, but here's the way I look at it. It's what's the number one killer of houseplants? Underwatering. What's the number two killer of houseplants? Overwatering. And the majority of people are underwatering their perspective and their attention to money. Some people are overwatering. They're anxious. They're paying too much attention. They're looking at the market every day. Did their 401k go up? Did it go down? They don't have the right perspective in a long-term perspective around money. And so the thing about debt is that debt poorly used is bad, but debt used wisely can actually help you make more money.
Right.
I'll give you a very concrete example. I decided to buy a new car. I decided to buy a new car for me. My last two cars were not brand new because I wanted someone else to absorb the depreciation.
Right.
Right. So why buy a brand new car when I can get one a year old for like 10 grand less?
Mm-hmm.
Until I realized that at the time, interest on car loans was 3%. The S&P 500 for the last 50 years has averaged 11.6%. Why not, rather than take money out of my investments to pay cash for the car, why not finance that? So I bought a new car at 3%. The rest of the money's earning a lot of money. So that is debt well used.
Yeah.
So the bottom line here, David, is that when you learn how money works, and most people don't learn how money works, is then you become aware of your limiting beliefs and mistaken assumptions and unhelpful emotions. And then if you keep learning how money works, then you can make it work for you. And I have a guide called The Ordinary Millionaire. Anyone can become a millionaire with a little bit of discipline and a little bit of understanding of how money works.
Wait. We're not just going to listen to this episode. There are downloads, there are resources, there are links, there are bonuses waiting for you on this episode's page when you go over to doitmarketing.com/podcast. That's right, doitmarketing.com/podcast. Grab the notes right under this episode. See you over there. Let's talk about your main character. Speaking of special people. So yes. Alden Beckett is the sort of hero slash guide throughout the story.
That's right.
And he's a bit of an unconventional character. Tell us a little bit about the either you mentioned he's based on a real person, but is it also a composite? And what's he like? Give us a little quick intro to Alden.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to answer this without giving away some of the cool twists in the plot of the book. Alden wasn't always a financial advisor. He had a different role in his life, and he had to retire early because he got injured. I'm just going to give it that and let people figure out this.
Perfect.
So he came about his wisdom a little later.
Yeah.
Which sometimes is not a bad thing because there's more context when you learn these things, right? So he has knowledge of police procedure. He can see that these bank robbers are bumbling and they don't really know what they're doing. And he has this knowingness and awareness that's really frustrating the bank robbers because Carl, the main guy, kind of the hard ass guy, is going, how do you know that? How do you know these things?
Yeah.
And Alden says, well, I read a lot of, spy novels. I read a lot of books is how he knows this stuff. So he's got a wry, little light, sarcastic sense of humor, but he's got a lot of wisdom too. So that's a little bit about Alden. It's funny when we were coming up, how books have like quotes throughout the book, sometimes at the beginning of a chapter, it's a chapter quote. So when Jeff was coming up with some of these quotes and he showed it to me, I said, Jeff, did you realize that you have 14 little standalone quotes for the book and every one is from an old dead white person? And he goes, I never thought about that. And so I said, all right, let's not do that. So what we ended up doing is we ended up making the quotes all from Alden. And so there's a lot of wisdom that comes out from Alden around that. I was trying to look at one of the quotes I had. Oh, here it is. So this is one of the quotes that Alden says in the book. It says, money is meant to be used and people are meant to be loved. The trouble starts when we reverse the two. And that's one of the things we address a book a little bit, money as power. We're not talking about money as greed. We're talking as money as personal power, as personal enablement and a money and an abundance mindset rather than a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
Big difference there.
So let's talk about this concept that you brought up earlier, that you have dedicated your career to helping small business owners, financial advisors make more money for themselves and make more money for their clients.
Yes.
I have dedicated myself to helping small business owners make more money, make more sales, etc. If I were to say to you, Bill, you give me $10,000 of cold, hard cash, and my friend, this money will come back to you in spades because we're in the flow of this kind of abundance and giving and receiving. Would you have any hesitation to give me $10,000 cash?
I wouldn't. In fact, I do have it right here. If you want, I mean, I'd be happy to give you this 10 grand. If you promise it will come back to me tenfold. I mean, can I just
pass it over here? I would love
just pass it to the camera like that.
There we go. Whoa, look at that. Look at that.
Wow.
Holy smokes. Here it is. Thank you, man. This is tremendous. So this is what? This is $100 bills, right?
Yeah.
And 10 grand, there it is. Cold, hard cash money, just the way Bill handed it to me.
And that is not a hidden heist. That is like right there in front of you.
Right here, baby. Right here.
Can I tell you real quick, the overarching principle of the book that has become one of my beliefs or mantras, if you will, in life in general,
Please.
Which I think will serve your audience because I've been around a long time. I've learned a couple of things, and I think this will serve people well. And it's kind of the essence that gave rise to the book in the first place. All right, so here's the deal. If you've got a challenge in your life, it could be a business challenge, it could be with a loved one, spouse, partner, whatever it is. All right, there's a complaint, a challenge. The mistake that a lot of people make is they go to the strategy or the tactic to fix the problem when there's something a little bit more fundamental that they should be looking at first, and that is their belief. It could be their belief about themselves, the value that they provide. It could be about the belief of their service. It could be the belief about their partner in the relationship. It could be a belief about the economy. It could be a belief about anything, right?
Yes.
And that we're often kind of unconscious or semi-unconscious to that belief. We haven't taken the time to look at it. And the problem is, if we don't take a look at the belief that's running us at that moment, then the strategies and tactics that could actually fix the problem won't show themselves to us. We won't be able to see them because if we believe that a marriage is unsavable, then it's unsavable.
No.
If we believe that it's the other person's fault in any relationship, right, and they're not going to change, well, then guess what? So all I encourage people to do if you're facing a challenge right now, whatever that challenge may be, just what's in the front of your mind at the moment, stop worrying about strategies, stop worrying about tactics just for a minute and think, all right, what is my belief set here? What am I believing about myself, about the other people, about the situation? Is there a different way? Can I have some new awareness? Now, sometimes that awareness we can conjure ourselves. We can just become self-aware and realize we can fix that. Other times we need something else to point that out. You can't see the picture when you're in the frame sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's where someone like you and I help our clients. That's someone where the people listening help. Look, everyone listening right now or watching with the people you're serving, they got their own limiting beliefs around your work and what you do, right? So we need that outside force, if you will. I use the word force very carefully to get people to look at things a different way. But when our belief changes, our awareness changes, then our options change. And that's what I brought to the book, The Hidden Heist, because that's the principle here. That when you follow that principle, then you become aware, and then you make new choices, and you actually can create financial stability, financial dignity, and wealth that can last for your lifetime and lifetimes after you.
Yeah, no, I love that cycle of the thought changes the belief changes the behavior changes the results.
Right. Yep.
You obviously have done a lot of work around money and money blocks and money obstacles. I also have done a lot of work around money blocks and money obstacles. For people that are reading the book and going, man, I never thought about it that way. What a great nugget. What a great soundbite. What a great mantra to live by. What would be some first baby steps that people reading the book could just start to crack the code a little bit, that maybe their current beliefs are not their friends, and that there is a different perspective, there is a different lens? How could they start that same self-work that you and I have done many times?
One of the ways to do this is, and I do this in the money interviews and money story interviews I do, is reflect back on what lessons did you get around money when you were young? What's your first experience? Most people's first experience around money is a happy one. It's a pleasant one. I remember my first thing. What I remember the most is I was sitting in my bed. I was counting my money. We had a neighbor visiting. She stuck her head. She says, "What are you doing here, Billy Cates?" I said, "I'm counting my money." And I had a little tie box, this long tie box was just bills. And she said, "How much you got?" I got $18.79. But then when you go beyond that, and what lessons did your parents fight over money? Did they have a scarcity mindset? My parents went through the Depression. They had a lot of very conservative beliefs and anxiety around money. And I picked up on some of that anxiety. Now, how I became an entrepreneur and all that, I never know, because my parents were extremely conservative when it came to this. But they also didn't teach me anything about money, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So what were messages? Did they resent rich people? Or maybe they had a good, healthy relationship around money. They taught you to save. They taught you how to invest, right? So go back to those early lessons, because it's usually around age 7 or 8. Most psychologists will tell you where most of your beliefs around money get formed. And then the media, advertisements, movies, TV, whatever, just kind of reinforce what you already believe. And so that's the first step, is to become more aware. And what some people do, actually, they'll go back and they'll talk to family members and they'll talk to friends. And how did you see me around money? Oh, I see you as a very giving person. Oh, I thought I was always right. So that's one of the things. The other thing is to learn how money works. Now, let me give you one example, which is my favorite, because nobody told me this when I was younger. And so, but I'm not angry about it.
Of course not.
And that's compounding. Now, Einstein is often quoted as saying, compounding is the eighth wonder of the world. Those who understand it, earn it. Those who don't, lose it, spend it. It's debt, right? Compounded debt. Now, Einstein, there's no evidence that Einstein actually ever said that. However, but if people look it up, the eighth wonder of the world, compounding, they'll see it attributed to Einstein. But nonetheless, it's true. So money saved and invested, not just saved. See, my dad was a saver.
Oh, yeah.
He had money in treasury bonds. He had money in bank CDs. It barely kept up with inflation, if it did at all.
Yeah.
It wasn't until later in life I got him to invest a little bit in some mutual funds. So, but money well saved and well invested over a time period will make you wealthy. The S&P 500 I mentioned earlier, over the last 50 years has averaged 11.6%. That's huge. Most investors, most people who try to do it themselves, most professional money managers can't do that. They can't do what just the S&P does. Get in a low-cost ETF, exchange-traded fund that mirrors the S&P 500, and you will do very well for yourself. And then you got to stay disciplined. You can't touch that money. It's got to stay and earn. That's where the compounding takes over. When I give a speech on this, I have a briefcase full of $1 million, and I come out. I'm doing a TED Talk on this soon. And I come out and I say, who would like the $1 million? And the hand goes up. Yeah, I like, all right, I can give you $1 million. Or I could give you a penny today. And tomorrow I'll give you 2. And the next day we'll double that. I'll give you 4. And we'll just go for 30 days. Who wants the $1 million? Who wants the doubling pennies? And give me the $1 million, give me the $1 million. All right, well, if you take the $1 million, fine. But you just missed out on $4.5 million of compounded interest. So
all in 30 days?
In 30 days. Now, there is an investment vehicle will do that, but it illustrates the point.
Sure.
And if you waited 31 days, it would be 10.5 million. So it illustrates the point of that compounding and time are your best friend when it comes to accumulating wealth. And the best time to start was 10 years ago. The next best time to start is today.
Yes.
You've got to pay yourself first. You got to make your savings and investment automatic, because most people don't. And they keep waiting till they're going to get around to it. And then eventually get to a place where it's too late for me.
Yeah.
And, we don't, in school, we learn the Pythagorean theorem. We learn the quadratic equation, but we don't learn the basic powerful principle of compounding.
So that brings me to, as we're landing the plane here,
yes, sir.
I'm sure you and Jeff talked about this. Every kid in America gets a copy of this book. At what age, ideally, would you put this book in their hands?
Well, we're thinking of the Hidden Heist. And by the way, it's thehiddenheist.com, The Hidden Heist. Fun video trailer there, by the way. It's 1 minute, kind of cool.
Nice.
We're thinking 25 to 45. Now, could someone a little older benefit from that? Anybody can benefit from that.
Yeah.
Because I have a gal who's 56, I think, read the book. It made her realize that she's got shame around money. She didn't even realize, like the book pointed it out.
Yeah.
And she's gone and got some help. And it's like her life has changed just from realizing that. So, all right. And then someone a little younger could probably appreciate it. But, we're kind of thinking just out of college could be a great graduation gift, Christmas gift for your young adult children, and really anything up above that. People who still have a little time to do something and make better decisions. Yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking.
I think one of the sound bites in the book is time is more important than timing.
Yeah, and time in the market. See, the mistake that people try to make is they try to time the market. They try to, when am I going to take money out? When am I going to put it in? It's a fool's errand. Nobody gets it right. Very few people get it right. Anybody tells you they get it right, they're probably lying. And so there's this principle called dollar cost averaging. And essentially what you're doing is you're just putting money in all the time on a regular basis. The market goes up more than it goes down. Yeah, it goes down from time to time, but it goes up more than it goes down. So you want to be there to catch the up. And I liken it, this is what the stock market is. The stock market is like somebody walking up a set of stairs with a yo-yo. It's going up and down, but the trajectory is up and up and up.
Yeah.
And so there you go.
Very, very powerful concept. Speaking of which, if people were to leave with one overarching concept about their money story, their money blocks, the possibilities that lie in front of them, what would you hope that one overarching big picture takeaway from the book would be?
Can I give you two?
You can.
All right. I kind of gave them to you already, but it's good to hit them home. Don't believe everything you believe. You're telling yourself stories. We are all telling ourselves stories about everything in life. And we have money stories that don't serve us. And so become aware, learn how money works. That's the second part, is that financial education. I am also a big advocate in financial professionals, good financial advisors. It's hard to do this alone. Most people who try to do this by themselves don't do very well. It's worth a little bit of money to find someone to help you develop a plan and create some discipline to stick to the plan. Yeah. And when life throws you a curve, to be prepared for that, to have protection products in place. So use a professional to help you figure out where you want to go and how to get there, and then stay with it.
Totally amazing. Well, Bill, I know that people watching, they're going to be like, hey, didn't Cates give Newman like 10 grand and Newman didn't give it back? So, dude, thank you for all of the value. I'm just going to hand this right back to you. All the value, all the amazing work that you put into this book.
Well, okay. Well, it was yours to keep, but if you want to give it back. All right, here, let me leave you with a thought, all right? Because this was a perfect representation. This gal, Elizabeth Bibesco, said this. She says, give without remembering and receive without forgetting. All right, receive without forgetting. We get that, or gratitude. But give without remembering. Give without ego attached to it. It always amazes me how these people give these incredible philanthropic donations to universities and charities and research and all these great causes anonymously, right? Now that is a healthy money attitude. Yeah. Where we don't have our self-worth tied to our net worth.
Yeah.
And that's a mistake that I made and learned the hard way. And luckily, I've kind of gotten past that.
So good. And it's funny when you walk by some of these beautiful theaters or museums and you see the very highest level of donor. And it says, Mrs. Joey Schmidbauer and Anonymous is right there in the ultimate highest tier of giving. And that person, I mean, come on, Bill, they walk by and they nudge their spouse or they nudge their kid and they go, hey, look at Anonymous. Look at Anonymous. Well, but they only do it privately, so that's totally fine.
Yeah, okay. All right, if you say so. That's funny. This is fun.
All right, my friend, I appreciate you. Remind us once again, where can people get in touch and stay in touch with more Bill Cates brilliance?
Yes. So the book, thehiddenheist.com, or just go to Amazon and look for The Hidden Heist. But at that website, there's a fun video and some cool stuff. TheOrdinaryMillionaire.com, TheOrdinaryMillionaire.com. I have a little guide on how to become a millionaire, even if you don't own a big business, or even if your business never does make $1 million a year like yours and mine. And then, look up Bill Cates, not Bill Gates, on LinkedIn and start a conversation with me. I'd be happy to chat with you. It'd be great.
Totally amazing. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for putting all of this great work out into the world with The Hidden Heist.
You bet, David. Thank you.
And that wraps up another episode of The Selling Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, tell a friend, go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thesellingshow.com. See you next time.